Okay, earlier we looked at a two-voiced setting of My Country 'Tis of Thee, and we just had the soprano and the bass. Let's hear that just to bring it back in our head. Okay, now I want to look at a four-voice setting of that same thing. Here we go. I just did the first two measures for us because I don't want to overwhelm you. So here's what it sounds like with the full four voices in it. Right, so it's much thicker, right? It's much thicker. It's got a bit more color to it. It sounds better, I don't know how else to say it. It just sounds nice. So let's look at how we did this and where our doublings are. So for this, we need to figure out what every chord is. So we are in the key of F now. So our first chord is an F. F, A, C, F. We're in first position because the root is at the bottom, which means we should double that note. So there should be another F somewhere, and it's right here. So we've doubled the root. Very good. Let's look at what notes we have here. We have D, A, D, and F. So we're in a D, F, A. It's a D minor chord in the key of F. That is a 6. So that is also in root position, D, A, D, F. So we should double the root again, which is D. And we have. Okay? We have all the notes of the chord, and where the other ones are don't necessarily matter except for in voice leading. And I said that in the previous video, so let me explain that just a little bit. They matter to the extent that this voice needs to have a nice line, right? And this voice needs to have a nice line. And this one needs to have a nice line. So I wouldn't want this one to be up here because that makes it all jumpy and weird. That's what I mean by voice leading. So the other notes, as long as I use all the notes in the chord, where they are don't matter except to the extent that they matter that we make a nice line for each voice. But the doubled note we do have to pay special attention to. So that one works. Okay, what do we have here? A B flat, a B flat, a D, and a G. G, B, D is how we could spell that in thirds, which would be a G minor, G, B flat, D. So in the key of F, that's a 2 chord. So let's look at what we did. So that is not in root position because we have this B in the bass. So here's our root. So we're in first inversion. And we remember in first inversion, we can kind of get away with doubling anything as long as it doesn't have an accidental on it. So here we doubled the third with the two B flats in the bass. And that's okay. That totally works. Let's go on to here. C, G, C, and E. So that's a C major chord in the key of F. That's our 5 chord. And because C is in the bass, it is in root position. So that means we need to have another C somewhere, and it's right there. So we're doubling our root because we're in root position. Here we have C, E, D, and F. Or sorry, C, G, D, and F. So here, if we were going to analyze this chord, we would have to come up with something goofy for it because this is not a triad. What's happening here is we have a kind of double passing tone here. So E to F to G, and then C to D to E. So we would call these two notes passing tones. So I would still just call this the 5 chord, which we had here, and still have here, but with the double passing tone here. So we wouldn't really need to call that any particular chord. We could get fancy, but the best way to do it would just be to call it a 5 chord with a double passing tone, and not worry about these too much. It's a quick chord. It goes by really in passing. We still have the dominant sonority in the bass here with the C and the G. So let's call it that and not worry about it too much, but let's look at where it lands, which is C, C, E, G, another 5 chord, right? But this one voiced a little bit different than it was over here. So this is a 5 chord still in root position because our C is on the bass. So that means we need to double the C again, which we do right here, and then we have E and G up top. So contrast this one with this one. Same chord, both have correct voice leading. This one has the doubling in the alto part. This one has the doubling in the tenor part. Same note, but all the other voices are much higher in this one because they've moved up through that passing tone. Let's hear it one more time. Nice, right? Nice, good sound. So pay attention to those doublings.